Welcome back to the shop, everyone. This week's video takes place in 2024 week 8. That is February 19th to February 25th, and we are kicking this off with doing some exhaust work. So what we're going to do is pretty much the same thing on the passenger side that we did on the driver's side, only this time I'm going to do a few tack welds between the pipe and the flange. That way when I pull it out of the car, it doesn't move. So we're going to do a few tacks, and then we're going to pull this out, and we're just going to weld that tube all the way around. that tube welded, we can get it back under the car. And it's always nice to have Carburetor in the shop as a visitor. We're going to see if he helps us out or hinders us. Who knows? And Carb is, of course, helping us out. Oh, he's such a good boy. All right, now that we have that pipe back on, we are moving into the engine bay. So what I want to do is get as much stuff done in the engine bay as I possibly can. And so to start with, we are doing wiring. So one of the things that I need to do is power my fans on the front. I don't have any sort of wiring for that. So my plan was always to run a couple of contained relays up at the front. And I will pull power off of the starter solenoid. That's where two things connect. That's where the alternator connects to, and then where the main feed to the battery connects to. So yeah, so I'll just run a wire from there. I'll run it up to the front end beside the radiator, and then from there we'll figure out exactly where we're going to put the relays. So when I pulled these two wires off that were already on the starter, I noticed that one of them was way longer than the other one. So I'm going to cut it down, re-end it because it goes to the exact same place. And then after that, I can throw the fan relay wire on. So all those wires are attached now, and I can run the fan relay wire up along the frame rail and run it kind of with all the rest of it. Gotta get it out of the plastic wrap that it was in, though. I can't believe I had this much difficulty getting the wire out of there, but here we are. I did, and we'll move on. Yep, so it's gonna go along the frame rail, kind of with the rest of the wires. So one thing is my coils mount on that bar there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my coils. I'm going to put them back on the bar, just that way I know exactly where or how much room I have for the fan wire, for the fan power wire. So one of the most important things is the fans themselves. I need to have the fans kind of in place in order to know where the wiring needs to go and figure out where I'm going to put the relays and all that good stuff. So we'll quickly throw this rad back up into place. I know that I still have to switch out one of the pieces for the Pro Charger pulley, so I'm kind of hesitant to permanently put the radiator on, put the bottom hose on, fill it with water, because I might just have to pull it right back off and I won't have to drain it and all that stuff. So once I get that part in for the Pro Charger and get it swapped in, then I can actually install the rad kind of permanently. Alright, so with the coils on, the rad up, we can start figuring out where I want to put these two relays. I got one relay per fan. They're both 30 amps. I believe the instructions say you need 30 amp relays for the fans. So yeah, just trying to figure out where to put this. My initial plan was I was going to weld a chunk of aluminum to the rad, and then the relay would just sit directly on the rad. But looking through this, I kind of decided to go a different route, especially now that my CNC plasma cutter is kind of working. And so I kind of want it mounted up here, kind of mount it off of the rad. Also, that way the hot radiator will not heat up the relays and the electronic components. So I'm thinking up and designing a bracket in my head for this right now. And as I mentioned, we're going to do some CNC plasma cutting, so I'm just getting that all set up here. I designed the program offline, but whatever. So we're cutting all the holes needed. So there's 1 3/8 hole on the bottom, and then there's 2 holes for the actual relay board to go into. It was pretty simple, really. The only thing is my cutter doesn't cut quite straight, so it's kind of janky, but whatever. My plan is I will likely end up cutting out another one anyways. Or what happened, there was too much slag or something, so I'll just readjust and recut. Yeah, that's right, just checking the consumables, and it was all messed up, and so I end up swapping out consumables and get it going a bit better. Oh, also there's not a lot of tension on this y-axis, but fix some of those things off camera. And apparently I forgot to film recutting this out. So in any case, this is the second cutout, and I'm just making marks on here where to bend because I don't want this just straight up beside the radiator. This is a pain in the ass to bend. What I would do next time is I would just put a small little relief cut where I want it bent. I've done that elsewhere with great success because bending this thick a plate was just a massive pain in the ass. Do not recommend it. As much as this whole process sucked, I got it done, and this is more than good enough for now. I have plans to tear the car down again, and when I tear the car down again, I will do some changes and some more fixes and make stuff like this better. But for just getting this on the road to shake it down, this will do for now. As always, things don't necessarily go the way you want it to. So with this bracket, it was actually very low, and doing the power wire, it just would have been too tight and it would have been really jammed up. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to slide this up so that the bottom hole for the relay board is actually in the top hole, or thereabouts. Oh no, it's in the middle of the two. In any case, I raise it up 1.5 inches or 2 inches, drill another hole, and then I'll just zip tie it around so it doesn't, like, you know, go tilt left or right. Yeah, so this is just the prototype. As I say, I'm going to tear the car down again anyways, so when I do that, I will remake this. I don't actually want it spaced out as far off of the rad as it is. I think I've got it spaced out 1 inch right now, and, you know, 1/2 inch would be more than sufficient. But as I say, for right now, for just testing this out and getting it on the road, this is perfect. This is amazing, and this is... I'm so happy. But yeah, so now with this, that wire can go onto the main feed, and it's not all tight and all jammed up. It's actually pretty nice. All right, so now that I've got this kind of mounted, I can go ahead and I can just get this wired in. So if I recall correctly, I am triggering the relays with a positive wire coming off of the Dominator. So what I'm going to do is on the bottom of that relay pack, there's a minus and a plus. So what I'll do is I'll run a couple of ground wires off of the frame. I'll run the two grounds just up into the relays, so those will just sit there all the time. And then I'll wire the positive wires coming out of the Dominator to each fan 1, fan 2. And from the top of the relays, right above those pink fuses, so those are fuses, different style, I'll have a 10 gauge wire coming off of the top of each of those relays going down into the fan. I'll then put Deutsch connectors on both of the fans, and I'll also run grounds to the fans themselves. You've seen me do a ton of wiring work, so not much of this should be too much of a surprise. The only thing is I'm not running the fan wires out of the firewall connector right now, so I will grab a couple of wires and I'll run those up. Yeah, so I'm just checking right here just to see how I'm wiring things. But yeah, so you've seen me do a ton of wiring before, so get to see me do some more of it. for a little bit of this work, we got Winston in the shop with us. And because of that, I moved the camera and don't get you a great angle, so sorry about that. But yeah, Winston's in the shop having a grand old time. Alright, now that the fans are all wired up, we can test them. So in order to test them, I'm going to fire up the laptop. Oh, a little visit from 47, that's my guy. Yeah, it's my guy. So we're gonna fire up the laptop here, and I can just test the output, and so I can test it and make sure it works. And strangely enough, nothing is working. And the reason why is if you caught it, the power wires coming from the battery to the front of the car were actually sitting loose on the ground. So I had no power going to the front there. So as soon as I plug those back in, yep, the fans are running. I can turn the first one on, turn the second one on. And now I want to see what the amperage is. But of course, like an idiot, I put it on the lines where the ground and the positive is. So the fields kind of cancel themselves out. So I need it running just on the power wires. And when I have it just on the power wires, I can calculate the amperage going out. So it actually, on initial startup, it peaks over 30 amps. So just over 30, we're like 30.4. It's not enough to blow the fuse, thankfully. and then it kind of calms down to like 12.3 amp. So with both fans running, I think it runs around 26 amps at like peak, and then or at average, and then at peak it's somewhere in the ballpark of 40. But since each fan has a 10 gauge wire going to it with a 10 gauge ground, I got more than enough capacity in the wires. I probably could have stepped down to a 12 gauge, and when I eventually redo it, I likely will. But for the moment, it's all working. It's all good to go. And the fans work. And now that that's all working, it is time to clean up the shop because it is a mess. gonna do next is I'm just going to start crossing off some of the things that are actually done. And with some of the things that are done, after that, I'm actually going to start cutting out the switch panel. So now that I have the fans done, now that my plasma cutter's running, I can actually do some cutting, and I can make the switch panel, which is going to go above my head on the top dash bar. So yeah, there it is. I just cut it out. It didn't cut out perfectly. The consumables that I have in the plasma cutter are not great, so I do have to take it over to the bench and kind of cut it out manually just to get it out. But whatever, it'll work for now, and I can redo it later. So with it cut out, I'm just doing some cleanup and just kind of making the holes a little bit bigger and make it fit the switches a little bit better. And now I'm just going to drill out all of the holes for mounting it onto the bar mounts. All right, now that it's cleaned up pretty good, I'm just going to clean it off, and then I am going to paint it. I realized that before I paint it, I should make sure that all of the holes fit through the or all of the bolts fit through the holes correctly, as well as make sure that the hole for the safety switch is large enough. So after a little bit of fixing that, re-clean it up, and now let's get this painted. Alright, so with that painted, I'm going to start assembly on this. You've seen me wire up stuff a ton, so I'm not going to talk too much, but what I'm doing right here is just figuring out how this switch works. So there is a ground wire that goes to it, there is a power wire that goes to it, and then when you rock the switch, power goes out to the other power lead. So what I found is the single kind of terminal off by itself is going to be ground, and then the other two are going to be positive. Kind kind of had to fight to get the switch in, and I think I ended up going back and redoing it. But anyways, so yeah, single ground to the switch, and then I also have to run a ground over to the main cutoff. So I think what I actually do is I run the ground up to the main cutoff, and then out of that, it'll actually run to the switch panel. And then I've got power going to the switch panels, so power goes to the first switch and then just daisy chains to the rest. So you'll see me build all of that wiring. Yeah, enjoy the show. Here I'm just testing and make sure that when I put the ground on the top post and the power on the bottom that it works as I expect it to, and it did. I'm just taking a fender cover and throwing it on the bench because, you know, I got some nice pieces there. I don't want to scratch them and have metal on metal. So do my best to protect it. Alright, so with the switch panel all finished off and in the car, that is all the time that we have for today. So as always, if you've stuck around this long, I'd like to thank you for viewing, and we'll see you in the next one.